One morning, when disciples and people were waiting for Buddha for discourse, they were amazed to see that he had brought something with him. On closer look, they saw that he had brought a rope in hand. Buddha took seat, and without saying anything to anyone, he started tying knots in the rope. After tying knots, Buddha told everyone, "I have tied 3 knots in this rope. Now I want to know from you if this is the same rope which was before knots or not." One disciple replied, "This is bit difficult to answer. It really depends on way we look. From one point of view, the rope is same. It has not changed. In another way, now it has 3 knots, which were not there before. It can be called changed. But its value has not changed, even though it seems to have changed from the outside. From inside, it is still the same as it was before. Its basic remains unchanged." Buddha smiled and said, "It is true. Now I will untie these knots," said Buddha. Then he began to pull 2 ends of ropes away from each other. While doing this, he asked, "What do you think? By pulling them like this, can I untie these knots?" "No, no. Doing this will only tighten the knots even more and would make it more difficult to untie them," replied the disciple. Buddha said, "Okay, now one last question. Tell us what we have to do to untie these knots." Disciple replied, "For this we have to look closely at these knots, so that we know how they were put on, and then we can try to untie them." Buddha said, "That is what I wanted to hear. I see most of people want to solve problems without knowing the reason, the real cause of problem. No one asks, 'Why do I get angry?' They ask how to put an end to their anger. No one asks, 'Where did the seed of ego come from within me?' They ask, 'How do I get rid of my ego?' Just as rope doesn't change its basic form, even if it's tied in knots, similarly, the seeds of goodness do not perish from within a human being due to some disorder. Just as we can untie the knots of rope, we can also solve human problems. Understand this thing, that if there is life, there will be problems too, and if there are problems, then there will be solutions too. It is necessary that we know the cause of any problem well, then solution will be achieved automatically.